In this episode, I completed the sail down to Whangarei Bay, where I spent some time at Marsden Cove Marina, and then motor sailed up to the town of Whangarei and back. Because it's a long way from Whangamumu Bay to Whangarei, I staged at Whangarei Bay on the way down, and after a lovely dawn, headed south.
It's Friday the 24th November, Thanksgiving Day in the States, and I'm sailing from Whangarei down towards Tutukaki or maybe down to Whangarei. And after motor sailing this morning, suddenly it is all on. I'm down to a triple reef main already and a pretty well furled genoa. I could take more in. I forgot to put the staysail up because it was so light earlier. Now I need it. But anyway, we've got squalls and rain and reefing like crazy. But hey, you can't complain about this. Got some decent speed here. Our conditions have gotten pretty crazy here. It's way more than forecast. There's a harbour in here called Tutukaki that I was going to go to, but I think I'm going to push on to Whangarei. And a big boat coming by us. They're sailing really nicely. They caught up with us, and now he's very kindly going by us on the downwind side. Can't see a name. Looks like it's got a Kiwi courtesy flag, so maybe from overseas. Center cockpit, I don't know, maybe a Beneteau or something, I don't know. Oh, he's got a problem with his genoa right now. Maybe he's furling it a bit more. Yeah, he's furling it. Has a staysail, but he doesn't. He's got a baby stay, but he doesn't have the staysail set. In mast furling, sweet boat, nice big davits for the dinghy.
The final stage of this trip was extremely rough because the southwest wind coming off the land had a strong fetch across Bream Bay. So I hid behind Bream Head while I hoisted the staysail, furled the genoa to about a quarter, and turned the engine on. But even with the engine helping at 2,500 RPM, our tacking angle in the rough conditions was abysmal, as shown by the dashed line, just enough to clear Busby Head and ease into Whangarei Bay. Our destination was Marsden Cove Marina, a relatively new marina carved out of the land with a huge housing development around it. Convenient to the entrance to the bay and hence also a check-in port, but rather far from anywhere else, such as Whangarei itself. The first prominent feature of the marina is the presence of NZL-60, the boat with which New Zealand defended the America's Cup in 2000. There were lots of other interesting boats, including this beautifully maintained old schooner called Arcturus, which General Patton once owned, yours for $700,000. And a day or two later, Parlay Revival turned up on their way down to a rapturous welcome for Colin McRae in Auckland. And on a perfectly calm morning, Sea Change herself was looking pretty good.
Saturday, 5th of November. This is Fungai Harbor. Extreme low tide, so these mud flats or sand flats are open. Family having fun here. See some boats at anchorage there in the marina. You can't see it from here, it's inside. All the way to the other side. And then a huge big fence protecting the industrial harbour. So a massive wood exporting area here. And when I came in, the ship, there's a monster ship over there from China. So I presume this is where all this wood's going. And they're loading up this truck with what looks like 4 units that can hold logs. He just dropped one. And he's got a couple extra. Go along and put those further along maybe. We're going to add them to the previous set. There we go. Add them to that pile. And he's got 4 more racks on this truck. Presumably that's just to take it to the ship. Those rocky peaks, that's Bream Head that I came around yesterday and hit the really severe breeze. Here's the massive ship that they're loading with all of these logs, and you can see a load being taken up now. This guy's just picking it up off the trailer behind this green truck. And there she goes. 2 cables around. And into the hold. But take a look at the bow. Huge blunt end bow. And look at the waterline. Got a long way to go.
These pretty but raucous red-billed gulls were everywhere, and a very contentious lot they are, spreading themselves out roughly evenly in the grassy areas.
These gulls are really pretty. They're also very assertive. This one's so dominant. It's chased the other one away. And now he's asking to be fed. I'm not going to go chase the other one away.
And here it is giving me the mean eye. New Zealand is full of oddities, like this immaculate Cadillac Coupe de Ville in a garage, evidently the same age as me. From Marsden Cove I sailed and motored up the bay, the estuary and eventually the river, to the town of Whangarei, passing several marinas along the way.
Well, it's Monday the 27th of November, and I am motoring up the river to the town of Whangarei to stay for 2 nights at the town basin marina. This is one of the places I wanted to get into for a hard stand to leave Sea Change. It's called Norsand, but they're full. And then ahead here is the Whangarei Cruising Club. It's a bunch of pilings where the boats get stuck in between them. And then next up on the river will be the bridge, I think, and then Riverside, and then Town Marina. I'll take some more video when we get up there. Here's some folk getting some exercise. Looks like a ladies' team. Very cool. Alright. Here's a women's 8 rowing team. The coach boat. A couple of double at the back there too. These boats are all on what's called pilings. You're tied up between these piles, these poles, and you have to use your dinghy to get to shore. There's no docks or fingers. It's an interesting idea, and I know there's a couple of people who are going to keep their boats on these. And it's 5:45, 10 to 6, and we're coming up to the bridge, which opens on request, but not between 4 and 6 during rush hour. So we've done just fine. Hopefully they'll open in a few minutes for me. The bridge is opened and we're going for it. And this is Riverside Road Marina, where I wish I had booked to get into. This would be my preferred marina. This is the one that didn't require insurance. But now I have insurance, so I can go where I want. And somewhere in here is Northern Rose, and they're going to wave to me as we go by. There she is. Zoom in on her. She's the cream boat with the burgundy trim, and there they are. That's Glenn and Pat waving at us. Alright, we're headed on up the river. And looks like we're headed up here. This looks like maybe Town Basin. We'll find out shortly. On this side, more boats on pilings. They were going to put me on a piling, but then they said I can go right into the marina, into a huge berth that the boat that belongs there is still 2 days away. coming down, I guess, from Fiji or Tonga. So yeah, interesting place. I'm glad I'm checking it out. More boats on the hard.
Here are two aerial views of the town basin marina at Whangarei, and Sea Change had possibly the best berth in the place for 2 nights. The town has invested in their waterfront, which includes this massive sundial and a nearby clock museum, plus a remarkable timekeeping contraption.
This is a wonderful Heath Robinson style clock. The guy provides the energy, takes balls up to the top, releases them, they run down and around. Eventually they'll get spat through another system, eventually fed into the gears at the back there. Once they get up to the top of those, they accumulate up here on a schedule, 15, 30, 45 and 60 seconds, at which point they tip and go down. They then fill up this one for minutes, eventually this one for lots of minutes, and eventually this one for hours. Very cool.
There is a walk called the Loop along the river to the bridge I passed under and back on the other side past Riverside Marina, including lots of these flowering eucalypts, a lovely old home with lots of heritage roses such as this one, interesting bench designs that allow one to look at the river or inland, and lots of sculptures, of which this last one evoking seagulls and providing comfortable reclining seats was my favorite. And this is the story of the bridge, if you want to pause the video to read the sign.
This is the bridge we just went under. Apparently it was designed for these uprights to look like fishhooks, which they do sort of. It's lifted by 2 huge hydraulic rams, and then the teeth on the bottom here engage with holes in the curve here, I presume, to stabilize the whole thing and make sure it can't slip anywhere. Anyway, here's the view back up the river. There's Riverside Drive Marina over there, and then over there is Town Basin Marina, where I am.
On the other side of the river is this remarkable camera obscura, with the lens being in the center of the circles, and the image produced inside is the inverse of the outside image. A subsequent visit yielded this clip.
This is inside the camera obscura, and it's showing the bridge with the traffic going across it, all upside down, of course, which is very cool. Bit of an echo in here. Love it. Amazing children's playground here, including a kids' foofy slide. Oh, that's too cool. Wow! All right. Oh, that's too cool. Oh, what a place. There's the bridge, river, sun going down at 7:30. They have daylight saving, which is sweet, and the town basin.
But the primary motivation for coming to Whangarei was a welcome ceremony held in a cafe above a quirky museum, where I met this couple, Christine and Matt, on Sugar Shack, who have taken over curation of the Soggy Paws Compendium PDF files, which I used as my primary guides for French Polynesia, Tonga and Fiji. So I was able to thank them for that enormous effort, especially by Christine, who has just released an updated compendium for Vanuatu that will be my guide this next season. The ceremony concluded with a performance by a Maori group outside the museum, and my apologies for the background sound of the nearby fountain. The next morning I set off back downriver, intending to sail 40 miles south towards Auckland. However, those of you with mechanical ears will have noticed an unpleasant mechanical whine in the background of the clips coming up the river, which turned out to be the transmission that had lost all its oil. Despite filling it back up, the transmission lost forward thrust just as I was passing Marsden Cove Marina. So I sailed into shore, anchored, and was towed in by their tender. Luckily, they were able to reschedule my haul out for 2 weeks early.
It's Thursday, 30th of November. While I wait to haul out here at Marsden Cove, I've been fixing the mainsail, restitching lots of it with a speedy stitcher and taping up the rest of it. And here's the marina building over there, the office, laundry, lounge, toilets and showers. And here's the marina, and there's the NZL 60, the America's Cup boat that they retained the cup with in 2000.
And here is my stitching with the Easy Stitcher, a great device. On my final day, an upgraded and immaculately maintained 1994 Pacific Seacraft Crealock 34 had just splashed, with young Americans Andres and Kate on board, who are reluctantly selling Anna Marie, having sailed her from Seattle.
Oh, it's Monday, December the 4th, and Sea Change is being hauled out to stay here for 4 months and also to work on the transmission. And since she's so small and so light, they're using their very small hydraulic rig, nothing like their big one. And this is pretty comparable to the one that they used at Panama Marina, and a relatively small tractor as well. There she is, out of the water for the first time since February 2022. And you can see a few places where the bottom paint has come off. But otherwise she looks pretty good. It's amazing to see her out of the water. She seems so big out of the water.
It took me several hours and a little help from Ed on Aka and his mechanic friend Brian to get the transmission out. And it was fortunate I had to do that, as the rear engine mounts had to be removed along with this bracket that holds the rear of the engine to the transmission, revealing that the mounts were rotten. So I bought new mounts and will also replace the worn damper plate, and Brian has already repaired the transmission. I left Sea Change all buttoned up on the hard for 4 months and flew to Cape Town for 3 months of kite surfing, and will return to her in April to get her ready for our 2024 southern winter season.